So she's a paralegal case handler at Legal Aid Society and deals primarily with unemployment insurance. And we've just been reaching out to community boards and elected officials, as well as organizations across the city, to try to spread the word, make sure that people are aware of the various laws that are in place that protect people, employees in particular, during the current crisis. So, normally we give like a 1 to 2 hour training, which we're happy to do to the extent that there are community organizations that you work with, or, offices or groups of people that you think would benefit from some training about what their rights are in the circumstances. But we'll just give a very quick overview today of what what people are entitled to. And happy to answer questions. I'm not going to get into great depth on anything because there's not enough time, but certainly I'm happy to answer questions offline or offer a full training. So we just want people to be aware, and I know that you are all leaders in the community, and so to the extent that you are reaching out to people, we want you to be aware as advocates that since this has all started, there's been a number of laws that have passed both at the state level and the federal level that provide protections to employees. There's a number of laws that are also currently being contemplated primarily at the city level and state level that hopefully will offer some additional protections to employees, primarily those who are currently working or will soon be working as essential workers, especially as what is considered essential is expanded as the state starts opening up. So just to give a very quick overview, there are laws that provide leave for people to take, or that provide for people to take time off if they themselves are sick. There are laws that provide for people to take time off if their family members are sick. And then there's laws that provide for people to take off if they are home taking care of a child that is home because schools or daycare or their caregivers are unavailable. It's sort of a compilation of different laws, and what law applies to an employee really depends very much on the number of employees that their employer has, how long they've been working there, and how much they'll get will depend on what they're taking leave for. But we just want people to be aware that there's federal paid sick leave, there's federal medical leave to take care of family members. There's also state paid sick leave to take care of if you yourself are sick or somebody or a minor child is sick. And there's also a city law that provides leave. And like I said, the benefits vary across laws, and I'm happy to give further detail to the extent that that's helpful. We also wanted to make sure people know about the fact that there are laws that provide some protections for those who are currently working, for essential workers. So first of all, the executive order that Governor Cuomo put out in April, and I can share that with you to the extent it's useful, does provide that employers should be employers of public-facing employees, so people who are working with the public, that those employers should be providing these masks at expense. There's also a series of laws that provide some protections. So to the extent that a worker isn't eligible to take time off and is still working and gets hurt on the job, right? So whether you're a nurse who's working and you get COVID-19 and it's a direct result of the work that you're doing, or you're a grocery worker and you get COVID-19 and you believe that it's a result of having been at the grocery store, you may be entitled to workers' compensation. There's also anti-discrimination laws. So if you are somebody who has an underlying condition and reporting to work is particularly dangerous for you, you can request a reasonable accommodation. And under the New York City law, there are provisions in place that provide that employers need to provide reasonable accommodations, and that can include unpaid time off, so that your job would be protected and you could return at the end of all. I should mention also that the laws that I mentioned earlier about that provide protections to those who are sick or those who have child care responsibilities, those also provide job protection. So if you take leave, you will be able to return to your job, save for a few small exceptions, and you can't be retaliated against for asking for that time. Essential workers also get some protections from the National Labor Relations Act and from OSHA. So OSHA is the agency, the federal agency that provides guidance and regulations regarding health and safety for workers. They have done a pretty, they've done the bare minimum at this point. So they've issued some guidelines. They're not enforceable in any way as to how employers should be dealing with their employees right now. But they do provide those guidelines. The NLRA provides the ability of workers to organize. So to the extent that workers feel they're not being protected in the workplace, they can organize together and refuse to go to work, and that would be a protected activity. But it's a little more nuanced than that. And again, like I said, I'm happy to talk offline about any and all of this. And then finally, of course, the normal wage and hour rules apply. So to the extent that people are working, are going to work, they should be receiving minimum wage at least and overtime pay. And I'll turn it over to Jackie, who can talk about what happens if you're not an essential worker, or if you are an essential worker and you're laid off. Essentially, she'll talk about unemployment insurance. Jackie, are you able to get on?
I'm not, sorry, my computer is a little bit funky. 1 second. Can you guys see me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. I can't make you a panelist for whatever reason, but we can hear you now.
Okay, so I can't share my screen?
At the moment, doesn't look like it.
All right, no worries. So I'll just talk a little bit about unemployment. So I'm going to talk about unemployment insurance, and I will add to the chat some of the resources that we'd like to provide you guys with. But as Abby said, I mean, there are a number of new rights that workers in the city have, but every single person on this panel, I'm sure, knows someone or a family member, a friend or neighbor who's become unemployed over the last 2 months. It is, we have millions of people who are on unemployment insurance right now, and hundreds of thousands who are trying to get unemployment insurance. And so over the last few months, the Legal Aid Society, since the beginning of the pandemic, one of the things that the Legal Aid Society has been doing is informing communities, who is eligible for unemployment, whether how to apply for unemployment, what to do if and when you encounter obstacles, and there are many obstacles, unfortunately, right now to getting unemployment insurance benefits. So just very briefly, people who, sorry, I'm just looking at the time. Okay. So, and I'm going to talk for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to go into question and answer. And as Abby said, we are happy to speak offline to answer, questions that are unique to individuals, or, if you just feel like more comfortable speaking offline. So generally, unemployment insurance is for folks who have worked in New York State over the last 18 months. There are basic income requirements. Folks need to have worked for at least 2 calendar quarters, in at least 2 calendar quarters, and they need to have earned within the last 18 months and have earned at least $2,400 in their high quarter, and at least 1.5 times the amount their total wages must be at least 1.5 times their high quarter wages. If people do not have the necessary income to qualify for unemployment insurance, the state will let them know, and they can instead apply for a new program called pandemic unemployment assistance. But just to back up a little bit, for anybody right now who is out of work, if you're receiving unemployment insurance, there were some changes to the law recently. There is a new program called Pandemic Unemployment, which was passed in the CARES Act, which is very similar to disaster unemployment. If you remember that program that was implemented after Sandy, it's for folks who are out of a job due to COVID-19. And it expands eligibility to folks who would not have previously been eligible for unemployment. So that's self-employed workers, independent contractors, folks who had to quit their jobs because suddenly they had kids at home, or God forbid they or themselves or a family member was sick. The restrictions for unemployment are if you're an immigrant and you don't have work authorization, neither of these programs, unfortunately, you're not eligible for either of these programs. And there are some instances where the Department of Labor looks at how someone lost their job. But the really important thing that we want to get out there is to folks that they should be applying for unemployment insurance. They should be reaching out to us, to their state senators, to their state representatives, their assembly person, and their state senator if they're having problems in trying to apply for unemployment. And right now, there, as I said before, there are a lot of problems. Just to help them, to help them get their claim through, and they should be letting the Department of Labor make those determinations and following up, and unfortunately being very persistent in order to get benefits. Benefits right now are the normal weekly rates that folks would, if you were unemployed a few years ago, you would have gotten between $104 and $504 a week. Right now, it was started April 5th and it goes through July 31st. Everyone is getting an extra $600 per week. That's from the federal government. And that money is retroactive if you haven't been able to claim benefits until now. If you're only able to submit your claim now, if you were unemployed, back in March and you're still trying. So the really important thing is there's a lot of money on the line, and we're working to help get people benefits, and we want to make sure that we're encouraging folks, especially people in low-income communities who may not otherwise, who've never applied for unemployment before, who may not realize that they're eligible for it, or who have struggled to get it and are giving up to push on. And it is a complicated subject because there are some, it's an earned benefit and there are requirements. And so we want to take your questions. If you guys, take any questions that we can now about UI and about PUA and workers' rights generally.
Thank you. Okay, so the way that questions can work today, so for board members, you're welcome to chime in now if you have questions. For the public, we encourage you to please just write either in the Q&A section, I will see that, or in the chat, so everyone will generally see the questions in the chat if you put them there. I did see someone put a question, I think you may have addressed it, Jacqueline, but someone asked for information in the chat. They also asked specifically about the mandates for employers to provide PPE for public-facing employees. So I don't know if that information was put in the chat, but that's what I have here in the Q&A list. Are there any questions from the board members?
So with respect to the PPE, it's not they're required to provide masks for public-facing employees, whether that's fabric masks or medical masks. And I'll share with you the executive order that comes from in the chat. I've also, just so you know, I've shared our contact information and the hotline for legal aid.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Let me see. I'm gonna take a quick look at the chat. Okay, I don't see any other questions. So if anything, we can always share your information. Board members, last chance, any questions on this item? Now's the time to speak. Otherwise, we will wrap up our public hearing portion.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
I had a question. This is Joanna, and I'm trying to enter the chat, but it's not. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Celeste?
can. We can.
Okay. So my question was, I heard that if someone has been laid off, furloughed, or whatever, and the employer offers them their job back, that they must take it. Is that true? Suppose the employee decides that the conditions are not safe enough. Does that disqualify them from unemployment?
Joanna, that is a great question. This is Jacqueline from the Legal Aid Society. That's a great question, and it's a question that I think a lot of people are thinking about, and a lot of people are going to have to ask themselves as New York City reopens. So there's not a simple answer, and it's going to depend on each individual circumstance. But the first, the short answer is no. You do not necessarily need to take your job back if it's offered to you. But when every week when folks certify for unemployment insurance benefits, they are asked, did you refuse a job offer last week? And you have to tell, you have to be truthful with the Department of Labor. But so I'm going to take this question in parts. And the first thing is, if your old employer texts you and says, hey, can you come back to work? That's not a job offer. And you don't have to report that as a bona fide job offer to the Department of Labor. A bona fide job offer includes it's a written offer that includes start dates, a location, your schedule, and pay information. And so it's really important that people don't, that people know that they need formal job offers for their from their previous employers. The second part of your question, if your employer says, "Hey, come back, but we can't, you can't come back full time. You're going to come back, Monday through Wednesday instead of Monday through Friday." It could be that they're getting more money on unemployment than they would if they came back part time.
Right.
If that job offer will not pay them at least 80% of what they were making at their job, and they're within the first half, so the first 13 weeks of their benefits, and if they started receiving in March, they would be. They do not have to accept that job offer. Now, to the second point, which is, if they don't feel safe because they don't feel safe because of this crisis. If they are a medically vulnerable person, so if they are over the age of 60 years old, or if they have a condition that makes them at high risk for COVID-19. And right now, they do not need to accept the job offer if it's going to put them at risk, right? If it's not through teleworking, if they have to get on the train or go to their job. If they're not, but they're still worried, if they can go and get a doctor's note that says, this person is at high, risk for COVID, that would be, and their job offered them, if they don't have a good reason, sorry, I'm getting some feedback on my end, so I hope you guys can hear me clearly. But if they are worried about going back to work, they've got a bona fide job offer, and they're going to go back to work. They're being offered their old position back at the same wages, but they feel, but they aren't a medically vulnerable person to the extent that they have a diagnosed condition or are over the age of 60. If they can still get a doctor's note from an employer, from their doctor, which they can share with the Department of Labor that says, look, this person is at heightened risk. We believe that might be enough to, to allow them to keep their unemployment. Those issues are going to, depend on individual circumstances, and so I would recommend that anybody facing that kind of decision reach out to, Legal Aid or another organization that does this sort of work.
Thank you.
Okay, and I see Desmond has a question.
Yeah, if somebody returns to work and they happen to get it due to something happening on the job, is the employer held responsible in any sort of legal way? Do you know that?
Yeah, it depends, unfortunately, is the answer. There may be the ability to get workers' compensation for a situation like that. There's two different kinds of workers' compensation, and I am not a workers' comp attorney, but have attended several trainings, so I'll tell you what I've heard. My understanding is that you can either get workers' compensation if you have an accident on the job, which could include potentially contracting COVID-19, or if it's sort of like a occupational hazard. The question is, and it's an issue of first impression, so we just don't know the answer at this point, because it's going to have to make its way through the workers' comp board for us to be able to provide better guidance on it. But we think it's fair. It's likely that a person who is a nurse, for example, working in a hospital that has is treating COVID-19 patients will be able to argue that it's an occupational hazard. And that they will be able to get workers' compensation because they won't have to prove causation. For those who are, for example, a janitor who works at a hospital, it's less clear, or a grocery worker, it's less clear whether the workers' comp board would consider it like an occupational hazard or an accident. If it's an accident, then you would have to prove causation. So you'd have to say, I have COVID-19 because of an accident on the job. And obviously, employers are likely to push back on that and say, well, or you got it from the train, or you got it from a family member. And we just don't know at this point what that's going to look like once it's actually being looked at more carefully by the workers' comp board.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
This is Jamie Wiseman here. If I may just be brief, I mean, Desmond, the other point that you have to look at is, as an employer, you've got to take every necessary precaution that you can. Face shields, all the PPE. If it says do masks, you're going to do the gloves as well. Anything where you're having customer facing, you're going to want to show that you're not negligent and that you're doing everything within your power to keep people safe based on the available direction from the appropriate authorities. Failing to do that will put an employer in a bad position and puts all their employees in a bad position. So the guidance is to read as much as you can and do all of those things, because the actual cost of those PPE items, if you can get your hands on them, is de minimis compared to the exposure the employer would have by being negligent and not doing that work.
Yeah, and I'll say that OSHA, the federal agency that's responsible for employee safety, has issued guidelines that recommend what employers need to be doing. They're not they're not requirements at this point. There's no legal force behind the guidelines, but the guidelines are useful to look at in terms of through what are the best practices. The CDC has done the same as well. That can provide some useful guidance. And then one other thing to note is that there is a lot of advocacy right now to figure out, what are employers, I think both for employers to have better guidance and for employees to have better protections, as people start returning to work, what are the guidelines that are going to be provided to employers? And it may well come in the form of, there's advocacy for it to come in the form of an executive order. There's advocacy for, a number of different ways to have that happen, but just something to be aware of.
Well, the reason why I find this, I've talked to several people, and I actually got the phone with somebody today. They were actually in their office and somewhere in the area, and they're really not an essential worker, and their boss needed something, and they got called in. So they wanted to know if they get it, if something happens during their commute or whatever, is their boss financially liable? Can they sue and all this other kind of stuff? And I just told them I don't know. So I wanted to get some clarification on that.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that to note is that the executive order that the governor initially put out when he issued the pause order, it has a list of all of the different types of jobs that are considered essential. And then within that, it says, even among the essential workers, only those who are actually essential should be forced to go in. And if you feel that you're being pushed to go in when you are not in fact essential, you can report them to the New York State Department of Labor to the extent that they want to do that.
Okay. Are we all set? Anyone else? All right, just double checking the chat and the Q&A. It looks like we are all set. If that's good for the board, then we can wrap up our public hearing portion. Thank you, Abby and Jacqueline, for taking the time to join us this evening.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so with that said, we can now move on to the next portion of our meeting, which is the public hearing, or excuse me, the regular meeting portion. I do just want to go over a little bit of background information on the meeting and how the meeting will run this evening for those that have joined us a little bit later. Right now, we have the board members as panelists, so they're the ones that can control whether they can mute or unmute. I also want to note that I did manage to find board members that have called in. I just want to share that they have joined us. So I have Eliseo Ruiz, I have Martha Brown, I have Mary McClellan, I have Barbara Smith, I have Virgie Jones, and I have Joanna Bennett. So I know I may have missed someone, so I have to cross-reference the phone numbers with your name in my phone. So it may take me a little bit of time, but I am paying attention. I just want you to know that we see you. And so anyone that has questions, please feel free to send me a chat message. Feel free to put it in the question, the Q&A, or just put it to the group. I will be taking a look while we go throughout the meeting. But to go ahead and get us started, I'm just going to pull up the agenda. Bear with me one moment, and we can keep going. All right. So to get us started, I have the first roll call.
Yes, Barbara, how does this keep changing?
All right. And so for the first roll call, we're going to go right through the list. Just be ready. We're going to go in alphabetical order for the beginning of the meeting. And then, of course, towards the end, for the second roll call, we will go in reverse order. Reverend Ates, I believe she's also joined us via the call-in, so I'm going to double check that number, but I did speak to her before the meeting. Joanna Bennett,
Here.
thank you.
Excuse me.
Bud. Joshua Brown. Is Joshua there? Okay. Martha Brown, I know she's on. Robert Camacho, we know Mr. Camacho's on. Felix Ceballos,
Present.
thank you. Gardier Caphart,
Here.
Melissa Carrera,
Present.
Louisa Chan. Thank you. Sufia Chowdhury. Okay. Daniela Davi.
Here.
Thank you. Albina Davis.
Present.
Carlos Feliciano. Fernandez. James Fitzgerald.
Present.
Thank you. Freddie Fowler. Christopher Graham. Igadi Gomez. Ann Guiney.
Present.
Reverend Medalia Gutierrez. Jose Guzman. Michelle Hilliard is excused. Tanisha Honeygan. Barbara Jackson.
Here.
Kristen Jock. I saw Kristen earlier. Cheryl Jones. Virgie Jones. I have Virgie from the call-in. Luisa Jose. Austin Martinez. Mary McClellan, I have from the call-in. Desmond Monroe.
Here.
Hello?
Javier Olivares.
Present.
Thank you. Heard you earlier, Sammy. Zuma Novoa. We got Zuma earlier. Asaya Polite. Gladys Bulia, Raul Rubio,
Present.
Eliseo Ruiz, we have from the call-in. Julio Salinas, Bernardina Shell, Barbara Smith, we have from the call-in. Dustin Sonborn,
Here.
thank you. Annette Spellin. We saw Annette earlier. Jerry Valentine. James Wiseman.
Good.
Hold off right. All right. So let me just tally up. Okay. That's 29 board members present. That constitutes a quorum. Thank you, everyone. All right, so moving us down now to the acceptance of the agenda. Is there a motion from the board to accept the agenda for this evening? It was in the monthly newsletter.
Alvina Davis, I move to accept the agenda.
Thank you.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, everyone. So moved. Moving down now to the second or the third agenda item, acceptance of the previous meeting minutes. I asked the board to consider tabling because we're still working on them in the office, just given the transition to digital meetings. Is there a motion from the board?
I make a motion to table the minutes, acceptance of the minutes.
Thank you.
Alvina Davis, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved.
That's which month?
Last month for April.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. And then moving us down now to the chairperson's report. That's Mr. Camacho's report. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Camacho.
Well, guys, before I even start my report, as you know, we have been having a lot of tragedies in our community, and also friends and families and board members. I also give my condolences to Raul Rubio. If ever you need anything or we can do anything for you, we're here for you. We pray for you, and I know you're gonna be strong and everything is all right. God is gonna work on it. I'm not a religious person, but I know He will. We want y'all to be strong and in these hard times. So just want everyone to pray, be safe. On one of my meetings, May 1st, at 4:30, we had a call. Willie, Sharon, and Celeste, and I informed them to call all the board members to make sure that they're all right. Up on them, that they're still working. They have issues, concern. That's what we're there for. I told them that the way the times are now, that to make sure that all the board members are okay and everyone is all right, and their families, and that our prayers are with them, and that we're here for them. That is just they work at home and get a paycheck and not do what they have to do. Want to be strong and firm and make sure that they're working for the community. I also inquire them to do a list of storefronts. As you know, we're going back to the 70s. A lot of these stores ain't not going to be open. There's a lot of jobs and stores are going to be closed, and we're going to go back to the 70s. So we want to make sure that we know who owns the store, that we know if they are, or they're getting any money or subsidized, to try to help them in any way that we can to make sure we bring them back. we also want to make sure that we get our fair share in regard to the budget and what's going on now. Because every time things occur, we lose out. Latinos and Black lose out. So we need to make sure that we're up front and make sure they know that we're still here, that we're not sleeping, that we're up and we know what's going on. On the 5th, May 5th, Tuesday, I was had the Zoom conference with the borough board meetings with all the boards, and on the agenda was Department of Civilian Complaint Review Board, the Right to Know Act, and they indicated that now there's no longer going to be 13 board members in that CCRB. It's going to be 15. Elected officials are going to choose whichever members they want, which is the Civilian Complaint Review Board, CCRB. And the gentleman that did the presentation one time, he's supposed to be a big shot now. I heard he got promoted. So hopefully, when everything gets done, maybe he'll come back and give us a presentation in regards to what's going on with that. As you see what's going on, we have a lot of people walking around with no face masks, and the police department is enforcing it. And they're getting the bad apple of the deal, you know. But we need to make sure that you need to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you can't, you got a doctor's note, and they got to get a doctor's note, wear the mask. We're trying to, it's not only to protect you, it's also to protect us too. So we want to make sure we're all protected. And like you see what's going on with the kids. Then there was also a resolution on the real property tax exemption for the Cold War veterans. You know, we have a lot of veterans that
Hello?
in the 1800s and over
Hello?
50 years old and 90 years old that tax breaks. They have these brownstones and they live like in Bed-Stuy, some communities. So they fought for them to try to a resolution for them to get tax exempt. So these Cold War veterans. On May 5th, I had at 10 o'clock another meeting with Hope Garden. They said that they're cleaning their buildings up. They're doing the can with what they have. They're cleaning their buildings up to par. Some of the jobs they stopped. I think I hear background. Hello. Some of the jobs they stopped because of the governors. So some of them they're doing it. They are maintaining the buildings. They are cleaning. We had no complaint. I also did a skip on May 12th, Tuesday at 4 p.m. The Knickerbocker Puerto Rican Day Parade is no longer. They're gonna try to do a viral. People can submit virals. You know, hey, I'm Puerto Rican. Yeah, I live here. I live in Bushwick, and submit it to them. And they're gonna have a 3-hour viral thing. So they're gonna do that. Knickerbocker, the area is going to be closed. But there will be no parading, and they will be doing the enforcement on the 13th. On that same day, I had a meeting with DYCD, the Neighborhood Advisory Board, and the CAB training. It's called Roma Committee, which is Roma is a treatment management and accountability process thing that they're doing. As you know, CYDC is gonna have a big cut down. We're gonna lose a lot of summer youth. There will be no money, no jobs. How are these kids are gonna be out there in the summertime? No jobs. So we don't know what's gonna go happen. The money's gonna be cut. Board of Education is gonna be cut. So there's a lot of problems with that. We're trying to fight to see if we can give kids a grant when they go back. Because sometimes some of these kids, their mothers or fathers weren't working, and they will buy their school supplies or their clothes if they work some. Maybe there's some way that they can get grants, or people can put something together where they can continue to receive something just to make it less stressful when they go back to school. Also, I went to the license and permits, which the chairperson will tell you. I also went May 15, February at 10 in Buena Vida, the Bushwick Wellness Alliance. They're want to find out, how to open Bushwick Safe. They're telling us that they have masks and boxes, and they're giving us information that those masks should only be worn for 5 hours. And when you do, let's say you go in your car, you take them off, put them on the dashboard where the sun can hit them, and it could kill the bacteria, the sunlight, because in your car is hot. So you take them off and it kills. So they were giving us stuff. If you're using a washcloth, wash it, clean it, and let it dry. Don't wear it wet. And use another one the other day, and they say that now there's going to be a new law now that made all these senior building, not the senior buildings, those are a home where the seniors are, that they're gonna have to check them twice a day, and they're gonna have to make sure that twice a day, and they take care of them, make sure that they're safe. They was giving us a little thing like that, and now another thing that I wanted, there was an advisory memorandum in regards that we have to do these meetings. Committee has to meet. The mayor's office did an executive order. City charter requires that all board members meet once a month, except July and August. So they mandated meeting laws. The governor executive order 202.1. And we also have to do the open door meeting where everybody has to, and if there's someone that's can't hear, we're gonna have to supply them with a number where they can get, or one of those translators that do the translator things that we're gonna have to get to if someone needs those services. And as you know, we went through executive board, and meetings for the full board committee must be held, as you know, April and May, and also June. Prepare for the election, subject to open meeting. We have to do an election. So the executive board said, let's go to the full board. Either we can table it or September, but it has to be done. Or we can do an ad hoc committee now and do the elections in June. And the only ones that'll be on there will be from the vice president down all the way, because I have 2 years. Everybody else has 1 year. So that is my meeting. And also, I just I'm gonna go through executive board. I'm gonna be giving a letter to Celeste and Sharon, because there's been a lot of issues and we need to work things out. There's too much problems. I shouldn't be getting emails with them. Celeste is someone's boss, and they're not respecting, and she has to respect her. So there's been a conflict, and they will be getting a letter, and I will be reading to the full board and letting them know that I want them to start working together. That Celeste, this is a team effort, not because Celeste is your boss, and you should respect your boss, and she should respect you as an employee, but to disrespect her, send her emails to me and her childish kid games. I'm not playing that. It's too many issues. We're grown, and I told them that I'm going to give them both a letter. We're gonna nip this in the butt, and we're gonna have to start working together. It ain't about what you like and who you like. It's just getting the job done. If you don't want to be with me, guess what? You need a job. Everybody needs a job. You got to work. She's your boss, and we have to respect each other. And that's the bottom line. And I told Celeste, and I'm gonna sit down with Sharon, and I'm gonna let her know that this phone tag stuff and your job and her job and what is she doing and what is he doing. I'm not playing with that. I'm not doing that. Not doing that. And I'm not happy at all. I want to make sure that this community gets what it deserves, our fair share, not because it's having something bad going on, but we want to make sure that we stay here. There's a lot of pain and there's a lot of sorrow, and it always happens to the people that are always down. We always got, like I always say, we always got to be fighting for something, just a little. And every time we take 2 steps up, we go knock back down. But we're strong and we're gonna make it. I know we will, and we're gonna be stronger and better, and we all gotta get together with each other, and we all gotta go the same way. We all gotta work together. We really do. And we can't be putting this one and this one. And if y'all guys think that I'm not doing something good, or y'all guys feel, guys, y'all know what to do. I've been busting my butt here trying to get everything done. I'm trying to do the best that I can with what I have. I don't get paid for what I do, and I do it because I love to do it and I love my community. So we all got to work and help each other out. We know it's hard. 'Cause this thing here, I'm not used to this thing here. I'm used to seeing people, hugging people, loving our people, seeing our people. This thing here is like, and it puts a toll on you. Believe me. Even when I'm sitting in this room, it's like you're in jail and you're sitting there and you're conferencing and you're calling people constantly through all these meetings, and you're like, oh man. When you go outside, you get a little breather. You got to walk around with a mask, but we're gonna make it through. We're gonna make it through. And I guess that's my meeting. That's my report.
Any questions for Mr. Camacho before we move on? Okay. So now we have the introduction of the elected officials and representatives, and as well as our community-based organizations. I'm going to go through the attendee list one by one. So forgive me if I don't see you, we will definitely get to you. I'll announce the person's name, and then I'll unmute you and you can speak. So just give me 1 second. I have Fatima from Councilmember Reynoso's office. Fatima, you're unmuted now.
Hey Celeste, thanks. Yeah, I'm Fatima from Councilmember Antonio Reynoso's office. We're all still working from home, so if you need to give us a call, our number is 718-963-3141.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right. I also have Jen from the Councilmember's office. Jen, if you just want to introduce yourself since you joined the meeting.
Hi, everyone. I miss everyone. And I'm so glad to see everyone. And I'll be here for the remainder of the meeting if you need me, but I'm so happy to see everyone's face. That's it.
Thanks, Jen. All right. Moving along, we have Jonathan Pomboza. Muted now. Jonathan?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Just saying, hi, how's it going? Just bringing greetings from the DA's office, DA Eric Gonzalez. And if you need to reach us, our phone number is 718-250-2340. We're still working. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving us down now, I have Julio Salazar. 1 second. All right, Julio, you're unmuted.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Julio Salazar, Congressman Velasquez's office. Just 2 quick updates. One thing is, I believe I shared it with Celeste. If not, I can re-forward it to you and to the board in general. There was one release that I wanted to highlight today, was that under the CARES Act, there was 2 hospitals that received funding that I wanted to share with you. One of those being Woodhull Hospital, which was received $39 billion under the CARES Act, and Wyckoff Hospital, which received $59 billion under the CARES Act. That's money that was directly targeted for those hospitals because of the location and because of the population that it serves. Some of the hardest impacted areas, such as ours, Bushwick, Williamsburg, Bed-Stuy, the general area. So that's something that the member was proud to have worked on with some of her colleagues in the second CARES Act. Secondly, there was we just had a few conversations with DOT and a number of other city agencies that I would love to loop in CB4 in. And Celeste, you can let me know who the best member that you think would be best to join on these discussions in regards to the Wyckoff Avenue reconstruction project, which received a number of federal funding and, of course, city funding, which I believe was first proposed in 2013. But again, correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been earlier, but the official record has it stated that it was started in 2013. Still, there has been no movement.
Julio, announcements, let us know. We'll get back to you and we'll give you a little time at the end, man. I'll guarantee you.
No worries. Okay, I'll wrap it up.
All right, 'cause if not, I would have go through the thing and choked you through the gate thing. Thanks.
I'll wrap it up. I'll wrap it up.
And then at the end, you can tell us that because I don't want you to leave.
No worries, no worries.
All right.
We're still open. Just wanted to let you guys know. Call our numbers.
And your number and you're working and yes.
Introductions.
Right.
All right. So thank you, Julio. We're gonna mute you again now. And moving down the list, we have Karen Cherry. 1 second, Karen. All right.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good evening, everyone. Karen Cherry from Assemblyman DeLon's office. We're working from home. Our telephone number is 718-386-4576, as well as our emails. Mine is cherryk@nyassembly.gov, as well as Jacqueline Reyes, who is handling unemployment. That's very important. So you need to know that to send that email to reyesj@ny.gov. Very important. She's handling all unemployment cases.
Thank you, Karen. All right, moving us down the list. Marcus Harris, join us. 1 second. All right, Marcus. Are you there, Marcus?
I'm gonna call them tomorrow. Salazar, Reynoso, make sure everything's all right with them, you know?
For sure. Marcus, are you there? All right. Maybe Marcus stepped away. I'm gonna keep going down the list. All right. I also see we have our CEC president with us. Martha, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity. This is Martha Bayona, Community Education Council for District 32 President. We're still open. You could contact us via phone 718-574-1203 or via email cec32@schools.nyc.gov. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so I'm just gonna go back to Marcus really quick. I got a message from him. Let's see, hold on. All right, I just unmuted you. Are you there, Marcus? All right, looks like there's a technical issue. We'll see if we can figure that out. But for now, we're gonna go and move on to, we have some elected official representatives. If you'd like to introduce yourself, I'll just go through the list. If not, you can just keep moving on, but hold on 1 second. I have, okay. I have El Puente. Luis, if you just want to introduce yourself. Are you with us?
Yes, hi. Luis Munira from El Puente. We're still we're running our program remotely. So for any youth, first through 12th grade, I think you put our information on your on bulletin, so you can reach out. If not, my email is elmunive@elpuente.us, and I'll put it in the chat box if anything.
Thank you, Luis. All right. I also see Rob Solano. Hold on 1 second. All right, Rob,
Hi.
are you there?
Yes, thanks, Celeste. I just want to say we are still working and we're going to roll out cash assistance for our undocumented families that were not able to collect cash from the stimulus and the unemployment. We'll be doing that, rolling it out next week. The first wave would be 150 families in our neighborhood. And then after that, we'll do another 300 families.
And Rob, how do we get in contact with
Please
COP?
let us know. Yes, please let us know, please.
So if anybody wants to get on that list, you could just call the main number 718-360-2906.
A list of 50,000 people, 150 are gonna get it.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry. I didn't hear the question.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll keep taking questions. If we can't hear you right now, you can always write in the chat or let me know, and we'll make sure that we get the question.
Number, you got the number, Celeste, right? So
Can you repeat the number one more time, Rob?
Yeah, that number is 718-360-2906.
All right. Thank you.
You got it.
And let's see. I have Cynthia Peña Ortiz. Hold on 1 second. All right, Cynthia, if you just want to introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Cynthia from the Bushwick Community Partnership under the Coalition for Hispanic Family Services. We're still working. People could contact the Bushwick Community Partnership at our helpline. We're still providing services. That number is 718-497-6090. That number again is 718-497-6090. And please feel free to send families over who need food. We're doing food distribution.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. So moving us along, thank you, everybody. We're going to move to the next portion of the meeting. If I missed you, please let me know in the chat, and there will be an announcements portion, so there'll be another opportunity. But feel free to take advantage of the chat feature and share information. So we now are moving down to the next item in the agenda, which would be the report from our 83rd Precinct Commanding Officer. We do have Dan Dooley with us today. One moment, I'm going to see if I can make you a panelist so you can unmute yourself. And we could see you if you have a video. Deputy Inspector, can you hear us?
Here we go. Here I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
How are you,
Can you see me?
man?
I tell you what, I was gonna get very upset because I totally cleaned out the back of my office to make sure this video, and then I thought I was only gonna do audio, and I was like, ah, it's ridiculous. And I did my hair, everything.
Oh, there you go. That's good. You did your hair. You painted too, huh?
How's everybody doing? You look good. I'm good to see everybody.
You too.
So I'll be quick because I don't want to keep everybody else getting late. So I'll start right off with crime. So crime obviously is going down in Bushwick in the 83rd precinct, which is great news. But like everything else, we struggle with certain crimes, commercial burglaries being number one, restaurants, the delis, and some of the bars that are serving food have been getting hit. The good news is we're making a lot of arrests. It's really the same people doing it over and over and over and over again. It really is. But we're getting to them. We're getting to their arrests. The second big thing that we're seeing is vehicle break-ins. People leaving valuables in their car, or just people just smashing windows and just seeing whatever they can grab their hands on. Again, we've identified several people through our NCOs retrieving video. We made several really good arrests. But the way things are right now, they're back out, and we just keep arresting the same people over and over again. The third thing I'll talk about is the grand larcenies of the automobiles, mopeds, e-bikes. We're starting to see that. That happened last year, the same exact time last year, with the mopeds and the e-bikes. So we have to make sure that if people have mopeds and the e-bikes, that they're chaining them up. Lock them up. And then the thing I talk about all the time on every single meeting is don't leave your car running. You double park your car, you leave it running to run into the store, you come out, your car's gone. Just turn the car off and take the keys with you. It's the easiest thing to do. I would say 9 out of my 10 vehicle thefts, people are leaving the cars running. So please, we could do a great job if we just take the keys with us. That's the bad news. The good news is you probably see a lot of the other precincts, or maybe on the news about domestic violence and how some precincts are struggling with domestic violence. We're doing very well in Bushwick. For the 28-day period, for the last month, we've cut domestic violence complaints down about 55% in half. And we're doing well year to date as well. So I thank everybody. The message is getting out. We have a great domestic violence program with Sergeant Wang here. They're truly aggressive. They're really reaching out to people, and it's working. A 55% reduction in domestic violence complaints is amazing. Thank you. We'll talk robberies. When we first went into this pandemic, the big worry was we're going to see a lot of robberies of people that were delivering food. That was our big concern. That was our big worry. We put some plans in place. We reached out to a lot of the local delivery people, and we did very well. We're down in robberies tremendously, and I really haven't seen, I don't think, any delivery robberies. So that's great news. Our plan actually worked. We're down in crime in transit. I didn't take not one crime report for 7 major this whole month in transit, which I'm very happy to hear. We're doing very well in transit, and I'm also very happy that we're doing very well in Hope Gardens. We're down in crime year to date in Hope Gardens. We felony crime 13 versus 18, which is great. And that's 13 crimes all year that happened in Hope Gardens. That's pretty amazing. Where I could use the help, and I know I don't want to talk too long, I can use the help along all commercial strips, all along Myrtle Avenue between Broadway, right up to Knickerbocker, then Knickerbocker right up to Wyckoff Avenue. A lot of the commercial burglaries that we're taking are occurring along that strip. And then obviously along Knickerbocker, we caught a career burglar last night trying to break into a dentist office along Knickerbocker. We got him with the screwdriver. And then obviously Wyckoff Avenue. So any help that you can give by talking to some of the restaurant owners, the deli owners, anybody over there will help us out a lot. 311s. We have literally an auto or 2 autos a day assigned just to answer non-emergency 311s. We're like the highest in the borough in terms of people calling 311 for a variety of reasons: loud noise, parties, social distancing. We've been getting to them pretty well. I think we're like maybe the highest in the borough, maybe second highest. So we're doing a good job. But just to let everybody know, since the pandemic started, more people are home, more people are calling up for loud music and stuff like that. So we designated 1 to 2 cars, usually it's 2 cars on the weekends, 1 car each tour, just to handle those complaints. And we've been doing very well with those. Social distancing, it's been all over the news. Our offices here, there's, at least not that I'm aware of, there's been no complaints on my offices here in the 83rd precinct. I don't talk about other people's precincts. It's not fair. I don't want them talking about mine. But here in Bushwick, I'm knocking on wood. We're doing very well. I haven't received any complaints. The advice and the direction I give to my offices is education first. I give them all extra masks. I have extra masks in my car. So when we approach people, 99% of the time, it's people calling up, reporting people for social distancing that brings us to the area. We had a couple people calling in Maria Hernandez Park because they wanted some space. We'll go there. We'll advise people about social distancing, but more importantly, we have masks to give people. So if anyone can tell anybody that's looking for masks or need masks, all these offices have plenty of masks. I keep masks in my car. If you say, Danny, I need some masks over here, you give me a call. I'll shoot over there. I got plenty of masks. If not, I can re-up the borough. So I don't know what other precincts. I can't speak for other precincts, but here in the 83rd precinct, it's education first, and then we want to make sure everyone gets the mask they need. Maria Hernandez Park is our biggest park. I know I'm jinxing myself. I told the captain the other day today, I haven't taken any crime in Maria Hernandez Park since this whole thing started, and that's a great, amazing track record, and I want to keep that up throughout the whole summer. So Maria Hernandez Park is our biggest park. It gets the most crowded, but just keep in mind, Maria Hernandez Park, it's like every park, right? It swells up with people for a little bit, and then it slowly, thins out. It happens all day long. So you might go there at 2 o'clock and see a lot of people, but you might go there at 3 o'clock and it's empty, So we just have to play it out I have cops assigned there to help with the crowd control. And we also have school safety agents that are assigned to Maria Hernandez Park, Irving Square Park, and Thomas Boylan Park. And they're there to help out as well. They have masks. They're there to keep people from social distancing and stuff like that. So they're all there to help. But if you start seeing a big crowd in Maria Hernandez Park, and we do have cops assigned there, we will go there and advise people to maybe help thin everything out. All right. But so far, we haven't gotten any complaints on Maria Hernandez Park in terms of crime. And Urban Square Park as well, and Thomas Boylan. But just be mindful that school safety agents, they're assigned to those parks, those 3 parks. Again, we're there to educate, and we're there to hand out masks and PPE if we have it. And last but not least is going to be Memorial Day. It's coming this weekend, and my big concern is the barbecues and the house parties. Last year we had a really successful Memorial Day, but this year I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be people deciding they're going to have house parties. I don't know if it's going to be people think they're going to have big barbecues. I don't know how it's going to be. I can tell you that my office is here. Nobody wants to shut down a small little barbecue with a couple of people from the family. It's not something we want to do. But we don't want these. We're not going to allow block parties. We're not going to allow people to set up a double park a car and put out big speakers and try starting a block party. It's not going to happen. We're going to ask the people who have the barbecues out to bring it into their property line, bring it into their backyard. And, pretty much by 7 p.m., it's going to, we're just going to be driving around. Hopefully it doesn't come to enforcement. We just want to tell people that now's not the time to have these parties. Everyone's there. If they start seeing one barbecue over here, they're going to have one. And then they're just going to start joining in. You get big crowds. We don't want the big crowds. So I don't know how Memorial Day is going to be, but I'm hoping it's going to be as successful as last year. So I need help in making sure that we let people know that these barbecues, and you're not going to be shutting down streets. You're not going to be allowing people to double park with these big speakers. It's just not going to be allowed. And the same thing as applies to every day. No drinking. Not going to be able to do things like that outside with alcohol. The bars and restaurants seen hit the newspapers up in Manhattan, where some of the bars and restaurants were serving alcohol, and the patrons were kind of hanging out in front of their bar, and they just made it an outside bar. If you call us up, you let us know where it is. We're going proactively to some bars now. We haven't had a complaint or a problem, but we're going to proactively go to some and let them know, listen, we can't allow you to have an outside bar, and we expect them to police themselves more than us having to go there and start shooing people away. And for the most part, we know a lot of these big clubs and bars. We have relationships with them. And I think they're all under the same impression. We really don't have, knock on wood, we had some problem bars all last year that we kind of remedied. Some of the bars now, they just want to, they're more compliant than not. Okay. So I'm good. So if anyone has any questions, I'm here to help, here to answer.
Hi, Annette Spelling. Two things. What are the rules about these barbecues on the roofs? Because we've got quite a few of those where folks are going up on the roof and having barbecues up there.
So it's the exact same as a barbecue in the backyard. It's the same thing as a barbecue in front. If you don't live in that residential, you cannot be having barbecues. Large gatherings are just not being permitted. We are allowed to go into those private locations. Again, this is all something that the officers do not want to walk into a private residence, into someone's backyard, and tell a family and neighbors, you got to break things up or we're going to start issuing summonses. We ask for more compliance with it. We hope that if you're going to have these barbecues, you do them safely and responsibly, and you do that with masks on. Again, they're not permitted. We're allowed to go in there and break them up if we need be, but that's absolutely as a last resort.
Okay, the other issue is we're having a lot of problems on, particularly on Warefield Street between Central and Wilson, where cars are parking on the sidewalk in front of the garages. And we got a lot of senior citizens who have to walk in the street to get around them. I don't know if PD is handling that or if you can get traffic to come and check it out, but it's happening on Warefield between Central and Wilson. And it's also happening on Central between Hancock and Halsey.
All right. Yeah, no, it's something that we can definitely handle. And again, if you see it happening, you can always call 311 and there will be a response or a respond there.
Well, the reason that my neighbors are coming to me is that because I'm retired from the job, and they come to me because they've been trying to call 311 and put on hold for 2 hours. Then they go to the website and they've had problems. So now they ring my bell.
I'm sorry to hear that. Well, 311 is experiencing the same type of problems with the call-ins. They have a very small staff that actually goes there, and people are working from home. So we know because a lot of people call 311. We track all the response times to 311, and what we notice is, especially on the weekends, we'll all of a sudden get 20 311 calls in one shot, and we're like, everyone just decided to call. What happens is they're backed up in 311, entering it in, and then they let it all out in one shot. So. But you still have your NCOs. We can still, I'll put this on the special attention list, and we're still writing parking summonses. So people should not be parking on the sidewalk. It's just there's plenty of spots for people to park, especially now. There's no alternate side, right? So they should have.
Dooley, I have two questions. One, I want to thank you because I went out with Officer Leonardo,
Yeah.
and we went to Myrtle Avenue. We issued at least 400 masses to people over there when they were coming out the bus. Some of the people that were out there, and they loved it, and it was nice to see. Instead of them telling them get away social distance, they give them masks and they sit there and they chat with them, and we stood there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it was real good. I think you posted it on on the thing, but
I go on Twitter.
they were very good. Both of the officers, I have no complaint with our officers. They're they're the best. And if I did, I'll be the first one to tell you. In regards to domestic violence, we were hearing a lot that due to the corona, that some of them are in dangers in their home because they're home, so they're afraid to say. How is that working?
We look at it as a proactive approach. So, like I said, we have Sergeant Wang and a very good. So we also realize that people are home now. They're probably scared to call up on their, if they're being abused, which is why we don't go to homes anymore. We're starting to get back to the actual knocks on the door. We try doing more successful calls. There's two reasons too. One, and I don't want to say all these cops are affected, but when at the height of everything, we wanted to keep the cops as far away from the people as we could because a lot of our cops were sick, and we didn't want them going into people's household and getting anybody sick. So, but we also wanted to realize that we still had we have a list of people that we have to call every day to make sure they're okay. And that's when it comes to establishing relationships. That's when we had the NCOs decide, all right, the domestic violence they're going to have to reach out to people. We have to have the NCOs reach out to people as well. So we're proactive in going out there and letting people know, hey, listen, are you okay? Is there something you need? There's still resources available. Even though things are shut down, there's still resources available for domestic violence. And we also look for signs of, people call the police but don't say anything. Those are 1010. We get them as it's called 1010. See complainant. We respond to there, and then what happens is we'll see. Let's say 480 Knickerbocker Avenue. Let's say that's a high domestic violence place, but somebody calls up but doesn't report anything. We're able to see, hey, if something comes up at 480 Knickerbocker Avenue, we're able to see that that's a high domestic violence location. Now we know, hey, listen, we got to go over there and make sure they're okay over there. So we have those little systems set up. The big thing is for the children. We want to make sure that our children at risk get extra help. And those are typically where we will respond and do door knocks. But our domestic violence program has been very aggressive, which is why I really think it's down 55%. And we've been trending that way really at the beginning of the year when we put a big push on domestic violence. Our felony assaults and domestic violence last year were starting to tick upwards, and it's completely turned around once we started picking up, being much more aggressive.
Hey, Captain. Thank you very much for the work that you guys have been doing. My name is Louisa Chan, and I'm Chinese American, and it's been I see a lot of news articles about harassment of Asians generally. I know we don't have a large Asian population here, but what is the precinct doing to kind of step up their, I guess, how they're addressing hate crimes and racism, due to the coronavirus? I have to be honest with you, I've been at home for about 2 months, and because of the news that I've seen, I've been afraid of walking around in the neighborhood. Like, I haven't personally experienced anything here, but like, it's just throughout the city, like the news that you hear about, it's like people getting harassed on the subway, walking and stuff. And it's really scary to me. So that's why I've chosen not to even take walks to the park or anything like that, because I'm scared. So
you shouldn't be. And if you want to walk to the park, let me know. I'll walk with you.
And he will.
All right, Mr. Camacho.
So first, let me just tell you, it's a great question. We take hate crimes extreme. We have a whole unit that's set up for that, and they're very aggressive and they're very good. I mean, and I want to. It's hard because we do so well. I haven't gotten any reports, but if a bias incident or a hate crime comes in, it's usually starts with an executive overview. So I get personally involved in them. and we'll make referrals to outside if we have to. But it starts with outreach, right? And we want to make sure that, and it's not typically with the Asian community, because we don't have a big Asian community here in the 83rd precinct. But we have a large Hispanic community, right? We have a large Black community. So outreach is always going on. But whenever we get a complaint of anything, you know, and we do have, you know, I don't know how to explain it. When we do get a complaint, when it comes in, it goes right to my desk. So I'll start with an immediate investigation. We want to talk about pulling video. We want to talk about corroborating the story. We want to get the person the help and the resources they need and connect them to the right people. You know, we want people, investigators are going to ask the right questions. And we're going to connect them to that. And when the Hate Crimes Task Force, you've probably seen them on the news. They usually, I'm trying to think of the inspector's name, the bald guy. He's good. He's extremely aggressive in it. And what happens is once they pull the videos, the goal is to arrest the person that committed this act as quickly as possible. We want to tell the community that's not going to be tolerated and that we're going to have immediate enforcement on it. But in terms of outreach, again, we don't have a big Asian community for me to have a big outreach towards the Asian community, but we do have outreach with the NCO program, all community affairs officers. We all know them, Oscar and Easy. You know, Easy's out sick now, but they'll usually do a follow-up. So if, I'm not saying you, but if a complainant came in and said they were a victim of a hate crime, it would be followed up by an immediate investigation by myself and my investigators up in the 8D squad, followed by a hate crime task force investigator. And then the following day, you'd have a community affairs officer or an NCO, but it's more likely going to be a community affairs officer, reach out to the person that was victimized. And we're going to come up with a game plan on what kind of resources we can get the person. Do they feel safe in their home? We have a crime prevention officer that can come to their house and look at and see if the locks are okay, or there's their video cameras. So it's always going to be a follow-up. We want the person that was victimized to feel like the police are engaged and that we're actually working towards a resolution of the. And that's the most important thing. You know, everyone knows victim comes first in my eyes. You know, victim comes first. How they feel is more important than me making an arrest. Does that kind of answer your question?
A little bit, yeah. I was like hoping to hear more about like, oh, you know, you guys are like keeping an eye out for that kind of activity or patrolling, doing your usual patrolling.
I'm happy to tell you that we don't have any of that happening here. Yeah. I mean, and if you do, it's got to come. I have to know about it because then I can deploy for it. But I haven't really seen anybody complaining about it, so I don't want to tell you look out for this because I'm not seeing that here in Bushwick.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Deputy Inspector.
Hello.
Oh, Joanna?
Yeah. The question was the captain made a statement about there's a lot of illnesses.
Inspector, you demoting him, man.
Inspector, please forgive me.
Don't worry about it.
He made a statement about there's a lot of illnesses at the 83rd precinct. Could he elaborate on that and how is that affecting how does that affect the community? And we care about the 83rd precinct too, and they are first responders. And I just want to say something in reference to what Ms. Chan said. You can just look around Bushwick and see that just about all of the Chinese restaurants are closed. It doesn't mean that somebody went in those restaurants and threatened them. Those people feel threatened. There's a reason why they're closed. And I know this is not a political organization, but it came from the top down, the White House, when he called it the Chinese virus. So we have to be aware of what our children are hearing too and re-educate them. And you know, Louisa, I could imagine how you must feel. So, but then my question was, my inspector mentioned about coronavirus, how is it affecting the 83rd precinct and the effects of, can you address that, please?
Yeah, so great question. So when this whole thing started, we got up to about 72 people that were out sick. Obviously, most of them with the virus, myself included. I don't know if everyone knows I was sick. But what wound up happening was we're down to 10 people out sick now, and only a handful of them still have the virus. but they had the virus over in April, and they had a bad case of it, so they're still sick this month. But most of my officers are back, including myself. But when we went down to 72 people out sick, we had a lot of help. What they did was they emptied out one PP. We had other units like Internal Affairs, Narcotics, Detective Bureau, and they all came in and pitched in and did patrol. Basically, when someone calls 911, a cop has to respond, right? And that's where our focus was when 72 people were out sick here. Most of the people that were affected, as far as I was, when I got sick, was my admin staff. And that became a problem for administrative kind of stuff, which really wouldn't affect my response times. So even though we were down 72 cops, with the backfill that we got from police headquarters, our response times were still excellent. We were still getting to all our jobs, and we were still able to keep crime down. So, we're able to handle that. We're used to, going down to skeleton crews, and we usually get backfill from other people. But, all these cops that are in other units, they all started off on patrol. They all started answering radio runs, and they know how to operate in a car. So it's easy to get them back, and you got to handle some jobs. And they all did a phenomenal job. They really did. I was worried that our response times were going to go up, but they never did. And we were still able to handle all our problems, handle all our stuff, still help out Wyckoff Hospital, which they're doing an amazing job over there. We were still able to help them out and still maintain the morale. A lot of these cops, they're young and healthy, and some of them got sick, but most of them, they're doing just fine. But they got a little worried, and they should be. I mean, who's not? They don't want to go. They don't know if they're sick, if they're asymptomatic, or they're going into people's houses. The last thing we want to do is get sick by going into somebody's house, and the last thing we want to do is get anybody sick by going to their house. So right now, I can tell you that my officers have masks. We all have PPE. To get into my building for the cops to work, we all get our temperature taken. I keep my temperature thing right here on my desk. So anyone wants to walk in my office and talk to me now they got to get their temperature taken. So we're taking steps to protect ourselves. And again, we're down to 10 cops that are out sick for the whole entire precinct. And most of those are carryovers from April. They just had a bad case of it, and they still haven't recovered yet. Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
I have a question. Well, I have a question and a statement. One, I just saw the thing that popped up in the chats about the COVID-19 response for Asian and Pacific Islanders. I also want to make sure that there's some outreach if they're doing outreach to the African community, maybe not the ones of the diaspora, but people who are maybe first generation from Nigeria or immigrants are being targeted by false information about this virus as well when it comes down to racist attacks. Also, I want to ask you a question about the homeless situation. I know that the MTA is shutting down, and there's become some issues because I guess not being able to put in shelters or something like that. And usually now, if you do have to take the train, it's predominantly people who don't have a residence, or have some sort of maybe mental health issues. How are your cops handling? I mean, how are the officers handling that sort of kind of sensitive situation? No home, but also maybe dealing with mental health issues. It really don't understand the need to social distance, the need to do all these protection. How are you guys handling those sensitive issues? Because they are sensitive and it can't be handled the same way as other things.
Right. So homeless is nothing new to the 83rd precinct, whether this pandemic when it started or before that. We had talked about this in January and February, and we had brought breaking ground in. We brought homeless outreach into the 83rd precinct way before the virus even hit us. And I gotta be honest with you, they still come. They're here almost every day or every week, approaching homeless and getting them to take shelters or offering them services. We had giveaways, food giveaways with Tent City, and we did the jacket giveaway by Maria Hernandez Park. If you ever go to Maria Hernandez Park on the far side and you see where those benches are, a lot of them congregate over there, and we're able to bring resources to them. There's also a shelter over at 89 Porter that we're able to get resources. That's in the 90 precinct, but we're still able to help. But believe it or not, a lot of them will take the resources. Some of them don't want to go to shelters, but we know we want to get them to shelters. And if there's a problem when we're talking to them in terms of mental health issues, that's what EMS is for. That's what homeless outreach is for. That's what Breaking Ground is for. So our officers are all trained in how to deal with homeless because, again, it wasn't just when this pandemic started. It's been long before that. We've been talking about homeless all last year on Marcy, Broadway and Myrtle. We've been talking about that on Jefferson Street. We've done multiple cleanups over there, and we've been able to connect people to services. It just has to be the right service for them. So a lot of times they don't want to go all the way to the Manhattan North to a shelter. So we try to convince them, all right, we have a shelter here in Brooklyn that you can go to, and that seems to be working a little bit better. When you tell them, like, nobody wants to be told, honestly, if we have a shelter for you, it's all the way in Manhattan. No one wants to do that. But if I have something a few blocks away, that seems to be working. In terms of mental health, I mean, we're not, mental health experts, but we can get people the resources through EMS, through Woodhull Hospital as a psych center, Elmhurst Hospital. A lot of them have been going to Elmhurst lately. We're able to connect them with that. But Breaking Ground, Homeless Outreach Unit, I get emails almost every day that they're here doing cleanups and getting people services. Because when they do those cleanups, they send me an email, let me know how it's going.
Okay, that sounds great. I just want to make sure there was a like a steps to service, because sometimes Breaking Ground is not the first point of contact with the segment of population that we're talking about. Sometimes the officers will move to that first interaction, make sure there's adequate training to make sure you're diagnosing the situation. And I know this is not what we're talking about, but you just said a loaded word. What is cleanup? Could you please explain that?
That's when a lot of them have like these makeshift tents. With a lot of the stuff that they're collecting. So sanitation usually comes down and they'll clean up the makeshift tents and stuff, like the cardboard boxes and the stuff like that.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along, Celeste.
All right, so thank you, Deputy Inspector Dooley, and everyone for the questions. Again, if anyone else has questions, we're happy to take those after the meeting. For the sake of time, we will move on. For the time being, I had several people let me know that they joined, so I want to give, just before we move down to the next item, our elected officials a chance, so just give me 1 second here. Marcus, if you're there, I'm about to unmute you. All right, Marcus.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
You, Marcus.
Hi, everyone. Marcus Harris from Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams' office. We are working remotely, but I am going into office once a week. If you need any assistance, call us 718-802-3700. Our constituent assistance team is still working. And if you also need me, you can dial me at 917-324-2680. I'll share it in the chat.
Thank you so much, Marcus. All right, and I also noticed that Yvette Lopez joined us. Just give me 1 second. All right.
One moment, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Everyone, how's everyone doing? Good?
Good.
Okay, that's fun. So yeah, my name is Yvette Lopez. I'm with the Office of Assemblywoman Mercy Davila. We're located at 249 Wilson Avenue in Brooklyn, and we can be reached at 718-443-1205. I did want to let everyone know that if you have any families who are in need of food, we are located at 215 Moore Street, distributing food from 12 to 1. And you can always give our office a call for those reasons.
Thank you, Yvette.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I also see Jessica Franco. Hold on 1 second. All right, Jessica, you there?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, wonderful. Hi, everyone. This is Jessica Franco from Senator Julia Salazar's office. And she was really looking forward to this call, but she had an urgent meeting she needed to attend in regards to first responders. And so she apologizes for not attending the meeting. We have been distributing hand sanitizers, masks, and partnering up with mutual aid groups in Bushwick and Williamsburg and Cypress Hills, and we will continue to do so. Reach out to our if you are in need of any, you can reach out to me. My email is jfranco, JFRANCO, @nysenate.gov. and I'm happy to also share that on the chat. Session will start again next Tuesday, and her biggest goal is to ensure that the community gets equitable funding for housing and for education. She's pushing the Relief for All, which is S8190, that would essentially cancel rent, as well as bringing aid to small homeowners, non-for-profit organizations, co-ops, as well as small businesses. And our office is more than happy to help with any constituents who are not able to get through to through the unemployment application. Again, you can reach out to me via email, jfranco@nysenate.gov. And again, thank you everyone for taking the time to be on this call.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
All right, so moving us down in the agenda, we have the district manager's report. That would be my report. So for the sake of time, I'm going to summarize. Give me one moment so I can pull up my report. So good evening, everyone. Happy Asian and Pacific Islander American Heritage Month. May also marks 2 months that the city has been on pause, and all non-essential workers have been asked to stay at home. I thank essential workers and volunteers enough for all that they have done. I'm also happy to share that we've received a significant increase in the amount of calls from individuals in Bushwick offering to volunteer, in addition to calls from those in need of food and assistance with unemployment. Coming back from this is truly a community effort, and it's certainly inspiring and reaffirming to see us working together to help each other, especially the most vulnerable. And then below, I've listed all of the events and meetings that I've attended. I won't go through them for the sake of time, but I will just say that the majority of them were in several areas. The budget, I did meet with OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, on several occasions, as well as the Department of City Planning, to discuss a little bit about how the district needs and budget consultations will look this year. I've also had a variety of check-ins with our elected officials, the representatives, our community-based organizations, as well as agencies and community partners. I've also participated in quite a few informational webinars. Most of them have been on the impact of COVID-19. I also attended one last week that was in regards to compost solutions for urban areas. So as most may know, that Bushwick has never had the composting program, although we know that it is a concern for a lot of the residents in the neighborhood now that that funding has been cut. Of course, there are other concerns, as Mr. Camacho has referenced, with programming as well for our youth. There's certainly a lot of battles that we have to fight right now in terms of funding. I also handled business, as Mr. Camacho referenced, in terms of the staff. So we've had a staff meeting, committee business. There have been some trainings for using tools like WebEx that I've participated in. And I've also been regularly attending both the regular Bushwick Community Partnership meetings as well as their governance meetings, which are always excellently run. So if you have any questions or you would like to see my full report, I'm happy to share that, although I won't go through all of it. So that concludes the summary of my report for this evening. Are there any questions from the board? Okay. And moving us along to committee reports, we only have this evening Melissa Carrera with permits and licenses. Are you there, Melissa?
Yes, thank you, Celeste. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Great to see your faces. So I want to make this quick, and I'm pretty sure we'll circulate the report to everyone soon. So just to briefly go over our meeting, the Permits and Licenses Committee met on Tuesday, May 12th at 6 p.m. And we had 3 items on our agenda. The first being 10 Bells, located on 65 Irving. And they came to us pretty much asking for a change of classification from a restaurant to bar and tavern, due to no open flame propane, which technically identifies as a restaurant, and SLA asked for them to make this change. And everything else stayed pretty much the same. Their operating hours same, everything the same. They gave us a quick update on how they were doing due to COVID. And hopefully, you know, once things start to go back to normal, that they can get back to business. And we had Artichoke Pizza, who came to our meeting in February. And they were just here to let us know that they were renewing their sidewalk cafe, which we approved. No changes, same chairs, same tables, number of tables, and also noted that they have also been suffering their business and their employees, keeping them in mind during this time of COVID. And lastly, Aura Finesse, which was a gallery, came to us seeking a full liquor bar and tavern located at 1501 Broadway between Jefferson, right like on the border. Recently, due to COVID, this young lady unfortunately hasn't been able to, you know, produce any new business or have any events because of the nature of COVID, because, you know, we can't have in-person events. But the space would be utilized for baby showers, parties, things of that nature. And yeah, we wanted to wish her the best of luck and also make sure that we are supporting other businesses like hers to succeed and thrive, even though, you know, with the changes that they have been going through. So I want to make this short. And we talked a little bit about new business. We have a list of Bushwick businesses that Celeste and the office has put together that we will be checking in with just to see how folks are doing, how everything's been going, and just getting updates from folks. So that pretty much sums up my report. Thank you so much.
Chairperson, I just wanted to echo that. Yes, Pizza Artichoke is open, and he is doing deliveries. So maybe, you know, you can order something because they're having hard times. And 18 Wyckoff, that's the Artichoke. We have a couple of places, establishment that they are open. So if you guys want to get the number or call, they're from the community, they help and try to keep the business. We don't want it to go back the way it was. 1501 Broadway is a young lady. Feels like she put her hard-earned money in it, and how sad her face looked, like she can't do nothing, and you know the rent is still there, and I can tell she was having a hard time. So we need to, you know, it's sad. We need to start helping out people out. You know, call, see if order something. What it's gonna cost you, $10, $15. You know, at least you try to keep something there. So thank you.
All right, any other questions for Melissa? All right. Moving us along, the next item on the agenda is recommendation. So I believe we just have the recommendations from permits and licenses. If you wanted to reiterate for the board, Melissa?
Sure. So our recommendations were to support 10 Bells Bushwick on their change from restaurant to bar and tavern, and also recommended to, give me one second, recommendation for Aura Finesse to support and also to connect them with Jamie, which I hope that was able to happen around their landlord. We want to support the full liquor and wish them the best of luck, of course. And lastly, we didn't have to vote on Artichoke. It was just more of a gesture that they did to show up and let us know that this was happening. So those are our committee's recommendations for the meeting.
And one quick point of clarification, Melissa, regarding 65 Irving, and they elaborated on their use of live music. They wanted to know that the committee and the full board were okay with them specifying the type of live music in their establishment. It was for Nook at 65 Irving. They just followed up with the board's office. They've already been given support by the full board, but just to note that they had clarified the type of live music they were going to have.
Is it jazz music, Celeste? Is that?
I believe so.
Jazz
Yeah.
music, yeah.
Is there a motion from the board regarding the permits and licenses committee recommendation?
Make a
From the board?
motion.
It's best if somebody, I guess, make a motion, maybe not from the committee, but
Mhm.
Yeah, I make a motion that we accept recommendation.
Mhm.
I second it.
Was that Anguini second? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, so moved. And if for whatever reason we couldn't hear you, just let me know and I will update the recommendation to indicate your response. So, but this has been moved. All right. Other recommendations from the board at this time?
Yes, there was one for to table the elections till September, but to create the ad hoc committee meeting to have the board. So like that in September, we just have the formal election. So we can start with the ad hoc committee, or whoever wants to be on it, and then from within the body, I think Raul was part of that ad hoc. I think 2 years ago, if possible, or whoever wants to get involved. And then from there, they create their own chairperson to conduct the ad hoc and do the calls with Celeste or.
Okay. Is there a motion in regards to the elections committee this year, whether to postpone or to move forward with the?
If not, it would have to be done in June. So the ad hoc committee's got to start meeting now, and then the election is in June.
Mhm.
And it either it's this way now or this way in September, if you want to wait. So the executive board requests that I bring it to the full board because I want a single vote for everyone, because it needs to be put on paper and everybody needs an open meeting. So everybody has to, none should be closed. Everything should be open and everything is on the table. And the only thing that's on that table on these days, because I'm looking at it, would be those let me just give you what it is, which is the have it here. I'm sorry, which will be the first vice chair, second vice chair, recording secretary, correspondence secretary, financial secretary, and treasurer and parliamentary. Those are mine is every 2 years. Everybody else is a year. So make a motion. Someone. Yes.
Camacho, question. This is Louisa. My only concern is, what about in September if we aren't still able to meet in person? What will happen? Do we just continue? All right.
If I may, I have spoken to some of the other district managers and the majority of them are finding alternatives. So there are a few options that I've spoken to Mr. Camacho about in terms of doing the election next month. So it is possible. It's just up to the board to decide what they want to do. And the ad hoc committee would be reviewing those options that I've proposed, but we do have options.
There is
to tell us what those options are?
So one board is doing a roll call vote. Another board is looking into a Google form. And then there's also another board using the polling option that exists on WebEx. So, and then another board is also looking into see if their secretary will be the one that privately takes a message from all of the board members regarding their pick.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there a motion from the board in terms of moving forward with the election next month or not?
Or September?
I want a motion that we do it in September.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
We're gonna do Single vote?
A blanket vote is okay?
Huh?
Yep, blanket vote?
No?
Or do you have to do roll call vote?
Yep, roll call vote.
Okay, one moment, please.
We want to know everyone that agreed to it. I just don't want to get caught up on any legal technicality. We want to make sure that everybody's speaking for themselves.
All right. So the individuals that are on the phone, they won't be able to say
Could they chat or
they
someone
want.
call?
So, but
Or maybe they can make it, maybe they can call.
Yeah, I'll call it anyways, and I can always follow up to find out what
They can call and they'll see what it's like, yeah. And from
want
there
to
you'll determine.
All right, so hold on. So Joanna Bennett,
I vote to table September.
Okay.
okay. So Bridget Blood,
Hi, I apologize. What are the other options on the table besides September?
next month. They're still doing it this year.
Yeah, how can everybody gotta go vote on June?
In
Election
June.
June.
So
I prefer June, so I think I'm voting no.
Okay.
Okay.
Joshua Brown. Martha Brown is on the phone. Robert Camacho.
June, no big deal.
So yes, no, or abstain.
Yeah, September.
Okay. Felix Ceballos.
In September.
Okay. Cartier Caphart.
Abstain. I'm affected, so I rather abstain.
Okay. Melissa Carrera.
I would say June, please.
Says no. Okay. Louisa Chan.
I also prefer June, so I will also be no.
Okay. Daniela Davi. Elvina Davis.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Carlos Feliciano. Victoria Fernandez. James Fitzgerald.
I'm for September.
Okay, James, got you. Freddie Fowler. Christopher Graham. Igaudy Gomez.
Yes. My bad. I was on mute. Yes. But I proposed it.
Yep. Ann Guiney.
Abstain, please.
Okay.
Abstain.
Reverend Migdalia Gutierrez. Jose R. Guzman. Michelle Hilliard is excused. Tanisha Honeygan. Barbara Jackson.
September.
Kristen Jones.
September.
Gerald Jones. Virgie Jones is on the phone. Got you, Virgie. Okay. Luisa Jose. Austin Martinez.
I didn't.
Okay. Mary McClellan on the phone. Desmond Monroe.
Desmond.
Desmond?
Desmond, he's a mute.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got it. I'll abstain.
Okay. And Sammy Namir Oliveras.
Abstain. I still don't understand. I don't have the full information.
September.
I can inform the
or
system.
June,
I'm
the
sorry.
next-
It's Zuma Novoa.
So when is supposed to happen regularly in June?
June.
Well, regularly without COVID-19, it's supposed to happen in May, but because of COVID-19, we would be pushing it till June.
Correct.
So, but the board is basically saying they don't want to have it in June, they want to have it in September instead.
Because this has to happen in person, right?
No, not necessarily.
Well, I vote September.
Okay. Got it. All right. Zuma Novoa.
Zuma.
Asaya Polite.
What you said?
I didn't hear Zuma. Raul Rubio.
Abstain.
Okay, thank you. Alicia Luis is on the phone. Julio Salinas. Bernadine Rochelle. Barbara Smith is on the phone. Dustin Somborn.
I say September.
Okay. Annette Spellin. Annette. Jerry Valentine.
September.
Okay. James Wiseman.
Yes, September.
Okay. And Oldorf Wright. All right. Let me just tally. So we have 5 abstentions, 3 no, and 13 yes. So moved. So the election has been postponed until September.
They will be doing the ad hoc, right?
Yes, for the time being, we still will be getting the committee, the ad hoc committee together, but everything will just be done when the board comes back from summer recess.
Correct. And then we'll request the chairperson from the ad hoc committee to conduct elections at that time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Please let us know if you would like to volunteer
for the ad
on
hoc
the ad hoc committee.
Raul, you did a fine job. You can.
All right, so moving us down now from recommendations to old business. Is there any old business? Hearing none, is there any new business? All right, announcements. Please let me know if any board members have an announcement.
I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that, you know, in regards to a lot of the thinking about businesses and us keeping our communities intact, especially our, culture, you know, the things that are important to us. The Moore Street Market is still open, so we're up and we're open. We have 5 vendors that are open now, but more are gonna open later. So basically, they just I basically put it on them. What do they wanted to do? Some of them wanted to close, some of them wanted to stay open. So, you know, a few of them decided to stay home for their own safety. Others decided to come into work. But the ones that are open are AC Tropical, La Union, which are the Martu grocers, Ramonitas, Jerez Taylors, who are making their own PPE masks. So they were doing fits and stuff. Now they're making their own PPE masks. And then Arturo from Toys Treasures, he also has good PPE equipment, hand sanitizer, things of that nature. And then so we're gonna have more opening this weekend. But this Friday, I just wanted to say we're gonna be doing a live stream. So we're gonna be doing a live stream with Turnstile Tours. We're gonna just be meeting some of the vendors that are still open. And then some who should be opening probably next week. We took a lot of social distancing precautions. All seating has been eliminated. We have 2 stations where you can sanitize your hands. And, you know, we ask people just to pick up or delivery. And then the last bit is that the merchants actually have an Instagram handle now. It's great. And Arturo owns it. And they're, you know, just getting along with the time. So we're gonna also be doing more programming with Apuente. We're gonna do live cooking demos, you know, obviously online. We might do a little dance party with a DJ online. So, you know, we're trying to just adapt with these flows, but you know, any help that y'all can give us, we really appreciate it. It's not the same. Some of these merchants, especially down in Virgilio, he'll like serve someone a plate of food, charge one person, just give it out for free the other person. You know, that's just who they are. So please support. I'm gonna put the information on the chat. That's it for me. Thank you.
What time Saturday?
11 a.m. Sorry. So I'm gonna put the information on the chat and there's a link and you can come on.
Thank you. And I
Can
do
you
have
circulate that information, I guess, to lessen Mr. Quadro so that they could share or email as well?
Yes, I'll do that too.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right. We also have a few people that want to make announcements as well. So I'm
Wait,
gonna go.
I had Barbara Smith. She said she wanted to vote. She sent me a text.
Okay.
She said, "Why can't I vote?" Let me ask her. Go ahead. You can go on and then now.
Yeah. So it would just be, hold on. I can put in, let me just cross-reference something. Hold on a second. All right. Barbara, are you there?
Which Barbara?
Barbara Smith?
Okay.
Barbara,
Barbara Smith.
we have you, I unmuted you.
Yeah, but how come the ones on the phone can't say anything? That's not fair.
Because it was all of the call-ins are under attendees, not under panelists. I can't make you a panelist to unmute yourself.
So how did you do a vote and we didn't get a chance to vote?
We didn't vote.
That's not right.
Everybody
that was on the phone, we didn't get. How you know you was gonna have the right total if half of the people on the phone didn't vote?
We could go back.
That's not right.
It's up to the board.
You should have never had to go back. You should have had it.
No,
it shouldn't have been like that from the beginning.
You shouldn't have to go back. You can vote June or September.
September, and I needed to make an announcement too. And every time I try to say something, y'all don't answer to the people on the phone.
No, the announcement's still on.
Yeah, it's still announcements. You can make an announcement, Barbara.
You can make an announcement.
No, I wanted to ask it. I was trying to ask a question before, and you don't acknowledge the people on the line. You're only doing the people on Zoom.
So I can't see when you're trying to ask a question on the call-in because as an attendee, I can't, like, unless you chat, like I don't see you as a panelist, so I can't tell if you're trying to ask a question or not. But you can
Not
ask
right.
now.
It's all over now. I just want to make an announcement. I'm giving out masks tomorrow in front of my house with the 83rd precinct, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
All right. Is there anyone else, Celeste, that are on the call that's on the call that you can ask them?
Yeah, I'm gonna go through. I just have to cross-reference their phone numbers in order to unmute. Hold on.
All right. So what we gotta do it because let's make sure.
Yep, I'm going through right now.
Yeah, you got to make sure because.
All right, Barbara, I'm sure because operating there.
All right. Yeah, this is the first time we do an event like this, so it's a little bit different. So I think, Ms. McClellan, can you hear us?
You say McClellan?
I did.
Hi, Ms. McClellan. How are you?
I'm fine. I was trying to get in before because that lady from the
Yeah,
Legal Aid Society was saying that the man that mops does not be considered I think that's what she said, an essential person. If that man that mops gets sick, he deserves just as much as the nurse that's taking care of him. Because if it wasn't for the man that mops and keeps the area clean, she could not function.
Right.
So he is very,
see
very
that-
important.
Okay.
And how about getting the other people that's on the line? Now I see you got Ms. McClellan on there, and you got Barbara, and then Martha Brown couldn't get through.
I'm literally cross-referencing your information as we speak.
We're getting through, Martha. It's okay. We got time now.
No, I've been on here since 6 o'clock, and it's almost 8. It's 8:07, and every time I try to say something, you don't even know if I'm here because I heard her saying she saw my phone number. But how can we vote when we can't even say anything?
You can vote, Martha. Vote.
Well, I vote to have it in September.
Okay, and Ms.
But I think that we got to do better. We got to do better with setting up these meetings with this phone business, these phone conferences.
Yeah, it's the first time for everything, so don't worry, we'll get it.
Well, we got to iron out the kinks. We got to iron out the kinks because the people that were on the phone couldn't say nothing.
Okay, now let me.
My vote is September.
Okay, Ms. McCullough, thank you.
If the virus cool down, because this
Can I
virus
say
is running
something?
rampant.
Okay.
You're right, Ms. McKellen.
At least Dave's
All right,
also there.
I just wanted to have my say. We got to work out these kinks because the people
we
on the
got
phone
to.
should not be mute.
We're
Absolutely
not
not.
you. That's Ms. McCullen. You can't listen to all of y'all one time. That's the reason why you gotta one at a time, please. Thank you.
All right, well, I just want to say good night. Is the meeting finished?
Not yet. Not yet.
We're still in announcements.
Celeste,
Yes,
can I say something?
go ahead.
All right, Celeste, this is Eliseo Ruiz. For
Yes.
those people that you gave the opportunity to vote and not us that were on the phone, thank you so much for voting in September. Can you imagine if we would have really had an election? The most important people that were on the phone listening for 2 hours will never have a say.
That's right.
September, I know that Macho, after I write you up today for doing a terrible job, and Celeste also, you will do a better job next month. I can guarantee you that.
Right. And then
Barbara
also,
Smith, thank you so much, Barbara Smith. Tomorrow I'll be in front of your house to collect 2 masks. Thank you for helping.
Okay. Come and get them.
As far as
Thank you,
I'm
Camacho.
concerned, we need to get the ballots out. Don't forget, those ballots still have to be sent out in the mail for the elections.
Yes. Amen.
That has to be done, and you got to set up. We got to set up the election sheet for who's going to be on the ballots. Don't forget that the people still have to do the ballots.
So again, it may be a little bit different because if we can't meet in person, then we can't necessarily have a ballot because the ballots would have to be presented in person.
I think you should do a secret.
You should cancel the whole vote.
That I think whoever gets the ballots, whoever's in charge of the ad hoc committee, or make sure the people mail in the ballots, and then they go down and they put who's running and who's not running. They make the election slate, and then everybody can figure that out from there. You still have to do the ballots.
So the ad hoc committee will be able to discuss and get back to the board on it.
Because the vote is supposed to be secret. Everybody is not supposed to know who's voting for them.
Right.
You can't say Martha Brown voted for Camacho. Suppose I didn't want Camacho to know I voted for him. Now, this is just a figure of speech, but even though I know you're not running, how people don't want people, it's secret. It's a secret ballot. They don't want people to know who they're voting for. Yeah, I think we have to look. You have to explore this further. You still got to mail out the ballots.
Okay.
Okay.
Ad hoc committee.
Let's just hope. Let's just hope by September this COVID is finished and we can do an election in a more normal way. But in the event that it is not, we have to figure out some way to get those ballots in the mail, get them back, get them tallied, and set up the election slate.
That's what I want to do. That's why I was fighting for to do it in September, because if we do it now, the ad hoc committee's got to meet, and then June.
That's right. Well, that's why I said September.
Be too late, and
So why we just can't postpone this voting? Why we can't postpone it till next year?
because it's on.
I wish we could.
It's on our bylaws, and the law department said we have to do it.
The bylaws is on paper and the corona is for real. So we need to find a way that we gotta do this in person. Voting shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be online and like this here. This is gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a mess.
And like I said, people don't want everybody to know who they voted for. You don't go in the election and say, "Oh, I'm voting for Trump." You understand? You have to. That's your private right for nobody to know who you voted for.
Okay, we know, but I'm talking to the legal department. They're all doing it this way. I'm with you, but it's what we can't postpone that. We have in our bylaws. We also had the office. We're gonna give you a copy. I'm gonna tell Celeste to send you a copy of the
current bylaws memo. Okay, but anyway, in the meantime, we still got to send out ballots, and then whoever's in charge of that committee has to set up the election slate, and then we'll have to work it from there.
Committee, please get involved, and then we'll talk, and we'll sit down and we'll do a chairperson from the ad hoc, and they'll do it from there, and they know.
Okay.
And then
we'll see what happens.
We'll do how it works. We don't know. It's the first time we're trying to.
I know.
So
Well, let's just hope by September we can have a normal.
there you
I
go.
hope then we'll be back to normalcy anyway. All right, everybody. So let's finish with the announcements because I'm tired now. It's time for me to watch the ID channel.
All right, so I have
I have a question, Celeste. Celeste,
Go ahead.
if we go back to the voting, how many say yes and how many say abstain? How many abstain and how many say no? No.
One moment. There were 13 that were able to say yes. There were 3 that said no, and then there were 6 that abstained.
Is the quorum?
No, not right now.
Quorum
You
yes
got
now or not?
no. The now is 16.
Now 16 that said yes.
It can be like that. It's no a quorum yet.
We have a quorum.
No, we good. We good. We good. We good.
It already passed. It was
Already passed.
For
Already passed.
September.
All we had to do was to find the other. We had 13.
No, it couldn't have passed. No, it couldn't have passed because I didn't vote.
No, I know.
Well,
but I said
no,
that-
Oh, no, it couldn't have passed.
Yes, you're not listening.
Nope, y'all done tallied me in.
I know. Listen.
It couldn't have passed.
We knew we were gonna call you and ask you, but there was already 13 on there and only X amount of the others. So if you even if y'all would have voted no, there was 13 compared. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Even if you voted no and you wanted the other side, you still because we had a quorum and everybody voted. You understand?
It's a, no, I understand, Robert. You don't have to explain it. It's an open meeting. Everybody supposed to hear. What did I vote for? How did I vote? Not that you had the 13, so you automatically say it passed.
Oh no, that's not what I'm saying.
This is a vote. This is a vote, so you
listen.
have to hear everybody's answer.
I understand, Barbara.
Moving
What I'm saying,
forward,
I
yeah.
told Barbara, I told her that we're gonna call you and find out what's going and what do you guys because you couldn't do it on there. So we're gonna call you and that.
Yeah, but Celeste said it passed. But she already said it passed before you called me.
What?
That's what I'm telling you. I'm hearing very good. I might be old, but I heard her say, okay, it passed. I didn't get a call. I text you.
Yeah, I text you back. Yes, I know.
Yeah, and so then she went back and she opened up and then I said it. But before she said it, I hadn't said anything. She said, okay, it passed. You can't just take that objective just go ahead.
You good thing you sent that text message. I couldn't even get to my phone, my blue cell phone.
All right, moving along.
Okay.
So we have Marcus Harris
Okay.
from the Borough President's Office that wanted to make an announcement. Marcus, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay.
Go
Can
for
you
it.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, first of all, I wanted to express my condolences to Raul Rubio. I did let the borough president know, and there is a letter coming out to you from him. So if there's anything that you need, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to assist. Thank you. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that there are, we did review the community board applications. What I have suggested after speaking to Celeste is just making sure that people understand that as an applicant for community board, first of all, you should have at least attended a meeting in the past before you apply for it. But also, you need to be aware of the attendance requirements for the meeting.
Thank you.
We want to make sure that everyone understands that and just what the commitment is the commitment. If you're able to do it, then just say that you're unable to do it. But we want to make sure that people understand that the requirements are in your bylaws are something that's definitely going to be looked at and enforced. Thirdly, I just want to make sure that we also know that if you go on brooklyn-usa.org, if there is a need for PPEs, you can request that on the website. So far, we've handed out about 200,000 masks. The borough president has been out personally making sure that he is handing them out in NYCHA developments. He's handing them out. He's about to start Mitchell-Lama. The city has also been doing park situations, but we want to make sure if there's anybody that needs it, that you can do it. And my last thing is just that we've received an overwhelming support for restaurants who wanted to support the first responders. So we have made sure that we have fed every single hospital and every precinct in Brooklyn. And we're looking forward to continuing to do that process. Yeah, at the end of the day, if you're working 12, 14-hour days and as a first responder, you don't have the time to cook something. So making sure that we have the food and everything for everybody. That's it for me.
Thank you, Marcus. It's also on the city charter that time and attendance and everything is on there. So I'm aware, and they're aware because they all got copies of it.
So we're gonna actually put it on the website where you go to apply to be on the community board, so that way people see it right away. Just to make sure they're aware of it. Every community board has a different bylaw, but we want to make sure that if you're applying for a specific community board, you understand exactly what the requirements are.
Thank you.
And we also have an announcement from Anthony Cox at Camp.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alexander Cox. I'm an attorney at Canva Legal Services. I'm in the housing unit. And I've shared a brochure with Celeste, which hopefully can be distributed to all of you. We do need-based legal advocacy. I'm in the housing unit, but we also provide foreclosure prevention, immigration, and consumer debt and consumer fraud services. As far as COVID-19 goes, I think it's just important to point out, as you may be aware, there's an eviction moratorium in place until June 20th. There's also another moratorium into place until August 20th. It's the standard promoted by or promulgated by Cuomo's administration is that these are cases where the non-payment proceeding or eviction proceeding is related to COVID, although that's a very tenuous legal standard and it's surely going to be litigated whether a case would apply or not. But in the meantime, we have a housing advice hotline, which I can share in the chat, and it's also on the brochure I provided Celeste. And we are working from home, but our mainline telephone is also available during regular hours. That's it. Thank you very much for having me on here, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right. Are there any other announcements? I don't see anything in the Q&A. Double checking now.
Celeste?
Yes, go for it.
Just to let you know that Reverend H called me to let you know that she was on the line. She wasn't sure if you realized that she was on the line.
Okay. I'll write her down. Okay. Thank you. All right. So hearing none and seeing no other announcements, I'm just going to double check the chat one last time. Okay. I don't see anything else. So moving down to the last agenda item, which is the second roll call before our adjournment. So going in reverse alphabetical order. Olaf Wright. Jamie Wiseman let me know he had to jump off. Jerry
Present.
Annette Spellin. Dustin Somborn.
Present.
Barbara Smith.
Present.
Bernadina Shell. Julio Salinas. Eliseo Ruiz.
Eliseo.
Yep. Raul Rubio.
Present on that little screen in front of you.
Gladys. Asar Polite. Zuma Navoa. Zuma let me know that she is trying to speak, but she's having some issues being heard by everyone. So we don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
Oh, you Zuma?
Got a thumbs up. She can't hear it.
Okay. Sammy Navir Olivares. Desmond Monroe. Mary McClellan.
Yes, I'm here, but I was muted, so I couldn't ask when I wanted to ask. Those ladies
What you
You're
want
muted
to
now. Austin
What's
Martinez
on
is
now?
here. Okay. Luisa Jose. Reggie Jones. Gerald Jones. Kristen Jock. Margaret Jackson. Tanisha Honeygan. Jose Guzman. Reverend Migdalia Gutierrez and Guiney.
Yes. Present.
Thank you. Igati Gomez,
Here.
Christopher Graham, Freddie Fowler, James Fitzgerald,
Here.
Victoria Fernandez, Carlos Feliciano, Elena Davis,
Present.
Daniela Davi, Sophia Chowdhury, Lisa Chan,
Here.
Melissa Carrera,
Present.
Gardier Caphart, Felix Ceballos,
Present.
There.
Robert Camacho,
Present.
Arthur Brown,
Present.
Joshua Brown, Bridget Blood, Selena Bennett,
Right there, up there.
and Reverend Grace Yates was on. Thank you, Ovina. All right, is there a motion from the board to adjourn?
No, I just want to have one thing to say. When
Okay.
we get the bill for these toll charges, do we pass them on to the board?
If there's an issue with the toll charge, we got to talk about outside the meeting. I know there's been an issue with that, but there should not be a toll charge for these meetings.
Right.
Well, it says a toll. We'll see what happens when the phone bill comes. Okay.
So
All right.
please let us know before you join the meeting if that happens, because we have to figure that out before these meetings start.
Well, I told you that it says toll. It says toll when you call that number that you gave us. It says toll. So that means that the charges are going to come on your bill, I guess, depending on what type of plan you have. But we'll see when the bills come in. All right. Okay.
We will look for an alternative if that's a problem.
Okay. All right, everybody. Well, that's all I had to say.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I'm here, Sammy.
Sammy, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Happy Memorial
Good night. Take
Day,
care, everybody. Be safe.
Everybody be safe.
Bye.
Don't forget the cemeteries are closed for visiting. So do not try to go and go to the cemetery for Memorial Day. Just want to give you a heads up on that.